They look beautiful. Hey, Christy. Hey, Neil.
Hello.
How are you? It's been a minute.
I know. How are you? I'm fine. Thank you.
I am fine. Thank you so much for asking. Welcome. Glad to see you.
Yeah, same here.
Yes, sir. Hey,
Good
Miss.
morning.
Good morning. How are you?
It's a Monday, but I'm here.
Motivational Monday, mind-bending Monday, magnificent Monday. Which one? Hey, Miss Liz.
Good morning. How is everyone?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I love your background.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You've inspired me to paint this office.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like this. What are you going to do? What are your thoughts?
Well, there's a blue background behind me and I kind of like it. So the other walls are kind of, you see that? It's kind of green.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be soothing to have it blue.
Maybe agreeable gray or just an eggshell.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. Hey, Monty.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine.
Good. Can you fix it so everybody can just come right in instead of waiting? Or is that?
Or
do I have to go into
you'd have to go in. Actually, I'll just leave and do it.
Okay. So nice to have an assistant.
I need one.
It's like, hey, can you do the stuff that I really don't understand, but don't have time to learn right now? Hey, Shine. Hey, Regina. Hey, iPhone connecting to audio. Who is that?
Oh, possibly me.
No, I see your name.
Oh.
iPhone is at the top. You know, you can go to the top, whoever iPhone is, and just put your name in, I think. Who is the lady at the top of the screen? I'm not familiar, and you're muted.
Hi, I'm Sergine. I just started.
Hi. Welcome, welcome to the office.
Yes, thank you.
Good. So while we're waiting for Miss Kay to chime in, Sergine, we've got Christy, Shine, Kathy, who does commercial, Liz, and Neil. So y'all say hi and welcome.
Hello.
Oh,
See anybody?
welcome.
Have you been in the office, Sergine, before? Have you physically come in?
I came in to speak with I think it was Michelle yeah, for interview.
Oh yeah, I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met you. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Kay is coming on. Well, hello there, beautiful. You're muted.
How are you?
We're great. How are you doing?
Good. Who are all these nice people up here?
These are all of my peeps.
All of you peeps. Okay. Good
Yeah,
deal.
all of our wonderful agents. How are you doing there, Miss Kay?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm down on the Georgia coast.
Oh, you are?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. We are so happy and so grateful, really, seriously, that you said yes at such short notice.
Oh, I'm so happy about Zoom. It allows you to be more places and do more things. And so, yeah, I was thrilled. And I haven't met with you all in a while, so I was very thrilled.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you so much. So as we are waiting for other people to jump on, I know a couple of people text me and said, I'm coming, but I'm at the doctor's or somewhere. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to?
Yes.
Just kind of trying to stay healthy and kind of get out of Dodge every now and then and rest and recuperate and get away from the pandemic. So, but I've been in good shape, really. Thank you for asking. How about you all?
You know,
Everything.
I'll let some of the other people chime in. I've been working quite a bit. I got a little break. About a month ago, we took our son up to college and then we went down to Savannah for a long weekend. So that was the first break since the year. So now I feel better. I feel rejuvenated. So Liz, what have you guys been up to?
You know, getting some listings going and
Yay.
dealing with a child at UGA that had to come home to quarantine. She's fine
really?
now. So getting all that done. And so, yeah, it's been a busy fall so far.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've been amazed at the market and how well, everybody has done. It's been amazing since I don't sell real estate anymore and all of you all do. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm not out there and about. And I'm also, they tell me I'm in that age category where I need to be careful. So I've just been watching everything from afar and haven't had any in-person events like I usually have. So I'm going to have one in mid-October. I'm looking forward. I need to hug someone and I need to laugh with someone and chit chat face to face.
Regina, can you mute yourself, darling?
Oh, sorry. I'm having trouble right now. All right, cancel. What is?
Please mute yourself, Regina. Thank you.
I want to see the video so I can see the animal that's making that sweet noise.
Oh, okay. Regina. So we're gonna go ahead and get started because it's right at
Okay.
11:06, and I want to honor your time and I want to honor Miss Kay's time. So Mani, if you go ahead and start the publisher, is it publisher?
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
So let me give a brief introduction. Does everybody know who Miss Kay is? And you can unmute yourself to say yes or no.
Yes, she's wonderful.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that, Miss Michelle Byers, who's our assistant team leader. So Miss Kay has been in the industry forever and has a wonderful reputation around Atlanta. So I'm just gonna jump to 1999 when she and Bob actually brought KW to the Southeast region. And the Southeast region is the #1 award winning and has been for a long time, partly because of Miss Kay's influence. So Miss Kay was our RD for about 9 years and then kind of semi-retired, but not really. Could not stay in retirement because she loves us so very well. She is not in the RD's office anymore. She's very much a part of our region though, and her presence is felt. Her influence is great. She runs a nonprofit that gives back to women and trains women to be leaders. And she has a scholarship that I've recommended several people for. And she is just a giant. So without further ado, I want you all to say thank you and welcome Miss Kay to the call today.
Welcome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And so
I think you have to share it because I keep getting this pop-up window that says host disabled participant screen sharing, and I want to try and fix it, but it won't let me change that.
Okay, all right. So can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
And you can
nice.
see it very nicely, yes?
Thank you.
Okay, great. So hang on.
A slideshow up at
Yes,
the top.
it's a slideshow at the top. And Imani, I'm gonna allow you to actually share. So now I've made you the host.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I love the colorful title page there with all the colorful stuff in it. Pretty.
Yeah, and that's Imani. So thank you. So if you go to the next screen, Imani. All right, very next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we cannot start any of our meetings, and it would be a disservice to Miss Kay if we didn't have a value system up here. And based on what happened last week, it was, Miss Kay, do you have any comments on us adding equity? And would you briefly tell us what the WI4C2Ts mean to you?
Oh my gosh, it's a benchmark, I think, for whenever you get into any kind of discussion or certainly, I don't want to say confrontation, but something, a situation that needs definition. Well, it's our belief system, and it's a measure and a benchmark for us to do everything. This first one, the win-win or no deal. I was celebrating this past weekend with Cheryl Sidoti, who will be retiring, as you know, at the end of this year. So my husband and I planned a little celebration for she and her husband down here. And when she got back to Atlanta, we were texting about how much, how much I said how much she had done for our family because she did such a great job in the region. And she said how much she appreciated that we gave her the opportunity. And then I just texted back and I said, this sounds like a win-win deal to me. Yeah. So it is. I mean, that's how you measure. If everybody comes out feeling like they won, if all he or she won, then that's what we strive to do, that we don't beat someone up to win. So integrity, do the right thing. Of course, we stress that. This belief system came about in the early days of Gary and Mo, when they were forming their partnership and wanted to have a belief system that we could measure our activities and our culture by. And this is it. Our customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to understand. Well, we know that most things that go awry have had bad communication or no communication. So if we can just communicate and try to understand the other person's point of view. Now, that's not always easy to do, particularly in some behavioral personality styles like mine. You have to really work at that. Creativity, ideas before results. I think we have one of the most creative companies because of our model that the agents, you know, it is agent centric, and the agents in our company pay up to a cap to our operation. And beyond that, they have a lot of discretionary income that they can get creative and create their own image, create their own branding. You know, we never really fought that. It's not about whose brand is the biggest, the companies or the agents, but there's a lot of creativity. It's a little bit of, it allows you to be an entrepreneur, and yet there are guidelines, but I think we have real creativity in this company. Ideas before results. Teamwork. We have a lot of opportunities for teamwork through our ALC, through our co-op business. And by the way, that's really, really important that we have teamwork in the co-op community, because that's the way you get win-win deals. That's the way you handle things with integrity. If we have a lot of teamwork, instead of looking at our co-op agent as our adversary in a contract, we are a part of the same team. And that at that point in time, and that is to get the job done, get to closing for our clients. Trust begins with honesty. I think it's a foregone conclusion. You have to be honest before you can be trusted. And if anybody ever discovers that we're not honest, then the trust is destroyed. And it takes so little time to destroy trust and so long to get it back. So that's a foregone conclusion. Equity, opportunities for all. You know, I want to say to you that I think our region has been a leader in that for a long time, but not strong enough probably. And I think it's great to be a part of a company that recognizes that we needed to step up and do more and create opportunities for people regardless of certain things. And so I think it was very appropriate that we added that. Although I feel like, you know, we had done that in the past to some degree, but not to probably enough. So I feel very good about adding that. Success results through people. I don't know, I could not, to be honest, Bob Kalinsky and I talk all the time about how fortunate we are to have the success in this region that we have. And I thank him profusely for giving me the opportunity. He thanks me profusely for bringing people to the table that he did not know. Because, you know, in reality, I don't think either of us would have had the level of success without each other. You know, it was like a glove that really fits, you know, that gives you your hand protection, but it gives it movement. And I just think that we together we're able to work. I could not have done this without him. There is absolutely no question about that. He says he couldn't have done it without me. He could have found someone else, I feel quite sure. But the one thing he was lacking, and today we're the subject of our conversation today is influence. The one thing he had all this knowledge about Keller Williams and how to open an office, etc., which I didn't have. I had run traditional companies and had on my own at one point in time, but he did not have influence in the local market. And that's why Gary Keller, the story goes that Gary Keller took his check when he purchased the region, put it in the desk and said, now go find someone who knows the market. And because you are a guy from New Orleans going in. And so that's how he explains that. Truthfully, I did not know Keller Williams. I was like, I knew about it because I'd read and I'd experienced that, but I really did not know how to open a Keller Williams office. I had opened and turned around several traditionals. So we needed each other. And that's the way our company functions very well is we help each other because, as an agent, that the more signs that are out there for Keller Williams, the easier it's going to be for you to get a listing because there's success out there with other people having their signage there. So the Y4C2Ts is our belief system, and it's a good way to measure everything.
Thank you, Ms. Kay. I could not start this meeting before without adding this part to it because we're both very serious about our culture. So take it away. We're going to have a conversation today about leadership and influence. So before she takes it away, here's the objective of the class today, right? We want to have a conversation on what leadership and influence is, and are they separate? And how does that show up in our individual lives? What impact does influence have on our lives personally and professionally? And then here's the part that I love, love, love. What will our legacy be? Based on what we do with our leadership and our influence, what will our legacy be? And what will people say about us? And what do you want them to say about you when you're gone, right? So most of the references we have, they're pulled from the 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. So I want to give credit where credit is due. And we're bringing our own personal ideas to those laws. Next slide, please. So the very first one, and this is a favorite of Kay's and mine, is the law of influence. So go ahead, Ms. Kay, take it away.
Well, I love that when I read that John Maxwell said it, and I read it, of course, years and years ago. And I thought, wow, how true this is. And he describes leadership as influence, nothing more, nothing less. And when you look at it that way, it really puts it right on the individual. It puts it right in your face. It's nothing more than influence, and it's nothing less. And how do you measure that influence? One of my favorite quotes is, "We have no trouble finding leaders. They have people following them." Yeah. That's how our company has grown, quite frankly, is every time Bob and I opened an office in the Southeast region, we looked for people of influence in the local market so that others would follow them. Mm-hmm. And that's what the mark of a leader is. Now, they may not ever become president of anything or even a team leader or an OP or whatever, but if they have people following them, if they are so influential in the market that people say, I want to experience what she or he is experiencing, that is influence. And I always say, and this is a painful thing for to say for some people, but your profit share is a direct reflection of your influence in the real estate community. Now, I know that some people say, and I understand that, I've never focused on that. I've never tried to recruit people. And I get that. But how have you been on your co-op sales? Are you just, do you make the other agent feel good? Do you work toward a win-win? Are you easier to work with? Do you welcome them and say, together we're going to get this done? And then someone says, wow, I like where you're coming from, or I like how you do it. Tell me why you're like that. And then you have an opportunity to tell them, you know, about the company. But, you know, that's a very true statement. I was watching television one time, and, you know, my family's pretty sports oriented, so we watch, and I get great stories from people who are in sports because they are disciplined and focused and, you know, driven for success and results. So I love that world just to listen to. So I was watching a panel of NBA players, and the host of who was interviewing them said, if you were going to start a professional basketball team, and you could start with Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, or Magic Johnson, who would you choose? Now, if you're not in the basketball world, and I'm not in the basketball world, I will tell you, but I know who those people are. And who would you choose? And I was really impressed when the first guy said, that's pretty easy for me. I would choose, who would you start with? Who would you start your NBA franchise with? I would choose Magic Johnson. And they said, why would you choose him? And he said, because everybody likes to play with Magic Johnson. And if you think back over that, he's always smiling, isn't he? Everything you see, he's smiling, and usually. So that's kind of how we went about opening offices. We want people of influence. It wasn't necessary. We always wanted successful people who were productive, but it's really not about who is the most productive or the number one selling agent, because quite frankly, sometimes they had left victims along the wayside. And nobody liked to work with them because they were really tough. And they felt that was their job, to be really tough for their clients. But you know what? Sometimes that works against your client when you're really tough and you make it hard for people to work with. So I believe that leadership does have roots in influence, and leaders who have influence have a higher productivity ratio personally and in their business if they have influence. I think of people I know who have fabulous relationships in their co-op world, and when they have a listing and they have a caravan and they have an open house, other agents just pour to that because of the influence. And because they want to sell that agent's listings, because they know it's going to be, it's going to work out well. So I believe in the law of influence. I believe leadership is influence. What do you rely upon to create influence on others? You should rely on building relationships. Because this whole success thing is built on relationships, quite frankly. You need relationships in every aspect. You don't need people to not want to take your phone calls because they're going to get chewed out or blah, blah, blah. You rely on relationships. And how do you build relationships? You build relationships by not making it all about you, but making it about success for your client and for the other agent to feel like he or she walked away and they're better for that transaction. I know I bought an investment property not long ago, and there were like 5 offers, all above list price, And I just know that I don't know this for a fact, but I just know the agents had a great relationship, and my agent had a great relationship with the other agent. And, you know, that kind of helps along the way. It really does, your relationship in the co-op world. And I've had enough experience managing offices and running offices that I've gotten those phone calls from a seller who will call me if I'm the broker and say, I want to talk to you about listing my property with one of your agents that's currently listed with. And of course, you'll say, what is the reason that you're wanting to, you know, to take the listing away from that agent? And I've had them say more times than you not this. I just figured out other real estate agents don't like my agent, and they're not going to show listings. And, you know, I'm thinking one great big listing, it was a very expensive one. He was absolutely right. Now, I couldn't say that, but I knew the agent's reputation, and she was hard driving, you know, just felt like she had to beat her co-op agents down. So that's really how you do that. So how do you increase your influence? I think we said that. You increase your influence by showing appreciation for others in the industry, not trying to cram Keller Williams down their throat, but use your influence and your actions to make them want to work with you. All right, on to the next one.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, the law of magnetism. You are who you attract. That's painful too when you look at it and you say, oh my gosh. Well, why am I surrounded by all these needy people who pull in on me and need things? And why am I not surrounded by, you know, really talented people who I can learn from and who I can pour into? And so you just kind of look around at how you are relating to other people and see. And I have examples of that too. I had an assistant broker in a company, not Keller Williams, but I had an assistant to me as a broker, and we were of course recruiting agents. And she said to me one day, why is it you get all the sharp, highly motivated, successful people, and everybody I get is needy, and I have to promise to hold their hand, and I'm never, you know, I'm going to help them. And I said, because you are building a dependent agent base. I'm trying to make agents know that we have the tools here for their success, and they can use them to be as successful as they want to be, and that we will help them be good business people. But we won't hold their hands and make every decision for them, and they have to come and ask us. And she said, well, that makes sense. And that was exactly how it was working. And so we had that, she had to step up her game. And so she thought really that she was going to get them by promising the moon in terms of that she would be with them every step of the way and blah, 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 blah. Really strong, talented people don't really want someone who's going to be holding their hand all the way. They want someone who's going to help them get as strong. So you are who you attract. I'm not a counselor of any kind, but if you look in your personal life and you have people like, you may attract people who are needy and take a lot of energy from you. Now, I'm not telling you not to help people who are needy, because I get a great feeling when I'm able to help someone like that. But I don't want to build a relationship on the fact that I'm going to be responsible for feeding them, if that makes any sense. I'm going to be responsible for teaching them how to be successful so that they can feed themselves at a very high level. So the $1 million question is, do you possess those qualities? It says, what qualities do you seek to attract to your business? You seek to attract people who have the potential to be successful, and you lay out the path for them. And I'm not to say you don't help them along the way, but when they become so dependent on you, you want to attract people who have it in them, but they just don't know how to bring it out, and you can help them do that, and you can enjoy their success. That, quite frankly, is how I spotted Cheryl Sidoti very early in her career. She came to our company as a new agent. She was with Remax for a short period of time, and then she came in and she was a great agent. I watched that. Then Brian Fair recognized her talents as a team and made her a team leader, and she rocked that world. She's in the Team Leader Hall of Fame. She just had it in her to do that. And then she became a general manager of 6 of the Atlanta Partners offices. And then she opened an office in Hendersonville, North Carolina as an OP. So in every avenue, she had it within herself. I spotted that talent, and I said early on to Bob, that's who's going to replace me at Region. And that's how opportunities happen, because she made something happen in every position that she was in. And by the way, you can do the same thing for yourself. I mean, wherever you are, make something happen. At whatever level you're in, make something happen. And if you have a team, and I know that your office has a lot of teams, be as concerned about developing your team and giving them opportunities and watching them grow as anything, because that's just what, yes, they may go off and leave you, one day, but maybe not too. But at any rate, I do think that if we are true leaders, then we are interested in developing the people around us. So the law of magnetism, who wants to work with you? Why do they want to work with you? Here's what I look for, quite frankly. I could not work for a low energy person. I have to have energy around me. I also have to have someone who thinks big, who is not, is not content with the way we ran offices 25, 30 years ago, that wants to step up to where we are today and what we have to offer. That's what, I am definitely attracted to that. No question about it. The law of magnetism. So the other thing I would say is you're all in that office. So you're all in the same office. So what are your magnets for your market center? What are the magnets that you have in your market center that makes winners and leaders want to affiliate with you? What is it that you have to offer? Because you know it is a competitive world. So your market center needs magnets. You need magnetism in order to be successful. Okay, next one. Any questions? Does anybody have, I'm just talking up a storm. Does anybody have a question? It's been that thought-provoking.
Yep. Michelle, are you saying something, Michelle? Because you're muted. I see your mouth moving.
Yes, her mouth's moving. I see it too. Okay. All right, we'll go on then to the law of the lid, which is also one of my very favorite, one of Maxwell's laws. The success of a group, a team, a department, a company is directly related to the ability of the leader to think big and lead boldly. Here's an example of that. It's not in a real estate context, but it is what the law of the lid represents. I lived for 8 years in Fairhope, Alabama. Now, I don't know how many of you know Fairhope, but it is a cool little town. I mean, it's not like any other little Alabama town that you've probably ever been to. They have beautiful flowers growing out of the trash cans, and you know, they're on the street and the top just flowing with beautiful flowers. They have beautiful flowers planted everywhere. The stores in the town have to all be pretty upscale because they have the hotel there that brings in people with money. But at one point in time, Fairhope, Alabama was a sleepy little town that didn't have really anything going for it. And I went there during that period. I visited and I saw it was a sleepy little Alabama town, not much going on. But all of a sudden they get a mayor of that town, and his lid was really high. He saw they had the Grand Hotel that brought in people with money, and they were not giving them anything in the town that would, that would attract them. To be honest, the professions had conventions there, like doctors and lawyers, and they had conventions there. And there was nothing for them to do in the town, so they put standards in for their shops that came in. They had to meet certain criteria, and they had to look cool on the outside on the main street. And he was a horticulturalist in his background, and so he started a big old greenhouse, and they grew their own plants. And even the people from Carmel, California came to see that because it became such a happy happening. And cars, you could not park downtown. And people love to come there to the Grand for conventions because they could shop in Fairhope, and they had very upscale shopping. So that was a one person who had a vision. He had a lid, and he thought this could be like Carmel, California. Imagine that a small Alabama town could be like Carmel, California. But honestly, it became a mecca for people coming there. They attracted they had a great bookstore. They attracted famous authors came there. The shops were incredible. The flowers were beautiful. They furnished jobs. They created jobs for a lot of people in the landscaping world. That's thinking big. And that's a lid that thinks we don't have to be a little Alabama town that's just ho-hum, not much going on. Honestly, the whole time I lived there, you'd walk down the street and there would just be hordes of ladies shopping. They'd come in for the day. or they'd stay at the Grand for a girls' weekend, and the men would come there to play golf because there were like Robert Trent Jones golf courses. Somebody who had a very high lid who created that. And you see real estate offices, our real estate offices, we have people in leadership who create high lids, and the offices take on a different look. And today we are, we've got things like, the technology cafes, like the coffee shop cafes. Oh, excuse me for my phone going off. It was my granddaughter. But at any rate, think high. Think what your company can be. Think what your office can be. Think what your business can be. Lift the lid of your thinking. I mean, what do you do for your clients? Do you do just what you hear other people in your office are doing? Or do you think outside of your lid? Do you raise your lid? And do you do things that are different and things that people talk about? And do you find ways, we have Brady who comes and talks monthly to he doesn't come now, he Zooms and talks to our luxury people. And he said, I find ways to surprise and delight my clients. That's like thinking outside of the lid. You can't do that, or above the lid, or lifting your lid. You can't do that unless you get to know your clients. You know what they like, what they're passionate about. Then you raise your lid to surprise and delight them at times like that. So what are your leadership qualities? Where do you need to make improvements? Where does your lid need to be raised? Is it people skills? Is it planning and strategic thinking? Do you need to get better results? It's always good to do an assessment, to step back and say, okay, where do I need to improve this? Where do I need to improve this? So what is your lid? Do you still do business like you did long ago? I will tell you also, when Bob and I started the region, I did not want to attract people who had been at traditional companies for 20 years in leadership positions. I wanted people who were more dynamic in their thinking, because what I felt in that scenario is there would be such an adjustment that they would have to make in the way they thought when they came to Keller Williams, that it would, just take too long. So I'd rather take a person who's newer in the business and hasn't, been entrenched in traditional ways to do business for years. And that's really what I went for, to be honestly, in the early days. Because I was the one that put the core groups together and found the OPs and the team leaders, and then Bob got them and did all the business stuff, the detail stuff that I don't do very well and I don't like to do very well. So let him do the budget. I'm going to go out and find the people. And but I had a different a target. I definitely had a different target, and it paid off, because if you're going to introduce the team concept, and our company was big on that, there's not a traditional thinking along those lines. And yet it's not all about teams. I mean, we have a venue for individual agents to be successful as well, but we do teach leverage. And no matter where you are, you probably need to get some help in some capacity. So that's the law of the lid. How big do you think? Do you hear people say, nah, I'm not going to do that, or I've always done it this way, so I'm not going to do that? That's a person whose lid is very low. And what's the saying? If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. So the law of the lid is important. How do you raise the lid? I mean, you get out of your zip code. You get out of your zip code. You interact with people in other parts, even of the region, of the country, and goodness, we have access to that. But you know, when you stay in your zip code only, then your lid is going to be lower. It's going to be much lower. Okay, questions or comments on that? Does that ring anybody's bell at all? Am I just blowing smoke? Huh?
Yes, this is Autherine K. And I would say to conferences, how do you increase your lid? Conferences, books, podcasts, certainly your relationships. And Zoom is such a gift for us that we can Zoom in with other leaders across the country. We can have masterminds, we can have conversations like these to lift our lid.
You know, thank you, Autherine, for that. I'll tell you about one thing that I did that was so, it had such an impression on me. I went to in Atlanta, I went to a fundraiser, and it was a silent auction, and they were giving away, you know, different gifts and raising money for an inner school for children who were in need of some help in inner schools. And so one of the items they were giving away was lunch with Andrew Young. And for those of you who've been in Atlanta very long, or you know anything about the history, what a powerful man and Mayor Andrew Young was. And then he went on to become our ambassador to the UN. And he's primarily responsible for the boom in growth that Atlanta had after he was served as UN ambassador because of the relationships that he made. So I was bidding fervently because I wanted that lunch with him, and somebody was bidding against me over here. And at one point it was my husband, and we realized we were bidding against each other. So we got together, but somebody else wanted it really bad. But I paid $5,000 for lunch with Andrew Young, and I took a notebook with me, and it was incredible, the things that I learned from him. And the reason he was able to bring so many countries and people from foreign countries in to invest in our shopping centers, etc., was because of relationships he built while he was at the UN, and how he built the relationships he shared. Sometimes when we have a longer time, I'll tell you some of those stories. They're fascinating. So the law of legacy. A legacy, quite frankly, is what people will say about you, I guess, when you're not there. If you leave an organization that you've been the leader of, what will your legacy be? In what ways did you improve that organization? What will people say, quite frankly, about you? And that's an important thing. I would say that in order to, you know, to have a legacy, you have to be a contributor, not necessarily financially to a great degree, but a contributor to the success of the lives of some people, to the organization. What can you do to influence? There's that word again, influence. What can you do to influence the success of a group, an organization, a person? How can you contribute to the lives of others? Pretty much is what I think a legacy is. How can you contribute? You know, we've had a great I talked to Kathy Nye last week before last, and wow, KW Cares is blowing and going right now because of the storms and everything that's happened. And she was just telling me about it, just really, really telling me about it. That will be a great legacy that is a great legacy we're building for our company. But what is your personal legacy? What are you doing to change the lives of someone, or changing the image, or change the direction of someone or some organization? It's about contribution. It truly is. So what I know people don't like to think about legacy, and look, at my age, honey, as my husband says, we're in the fourth quarter of our lives. And I say, yeah, and we're shooting for overtime. But we have, we still have a lot of opportunities to give and to help and to do, and we're blessed because of that. So that's pretty much what I have to say about all the leadership and the influence and the law of attraction and the law of legacy. And I hope that you will be motivated to know how important you are to someone, some group, some organization, and how much you can give and really change the lives of people. So let's see. Yes, I hope you have gained some insight into leadership, and find books that you could read. I love, my favorite book ever right now is, it has been since I've discovered it, was Andy Andrews and the Traveler's Gift. And I love that book because it deals with 7 decisions that people in history have made. We make some of those same decisions in that book every day. Not quite as significant maybe, but we make decisions every day. And the first one is the buck stops here. Harry Truman said the buck stops here. He had to make that horrible decision to bomb, but we don't ever have to make anything like that. But we all are where we are because of the decisions that we have made, where we are physically, mentally, financially, spiritually. All of the decisions that we have made in our lives have put us right where we are. So, and it doesn't have to be, if we don't like where we are, we can certainly change that by making better decisions. So thank you all for spending time with me. I feel really blessed that you asked me to do this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Imani, if you'll take that down so we can see the others. And if you guys would like to chime in. Kay, there was a question from Connie. Connie, would you like to ask that question?
Yeah.
I had to figure out how to unmute me. Okay, Connie Davis, and here. I'm curious, I think a lot about leadership, and we have such great people in our office, from Jim Alexander, Michelle Byers, Julianne, Autherine, who's with us here today, that are truly what and I say this with love and appreciation, they are servant leaders. And and I guess on a personal level, it's like you talk about the lid. I can't say that I have a desire to run a big team or develop something like that, but I certainly want to be a leader in my sphere. And so I kind of think of it more in terms of maybe mentorship. And I don't know exactly what the difference would be between leadership and mentorship, except scale.
Well, that's a great observation, and I think you're probably very right on that. And everybody doesn't have to build a team, but it would be great for you to be a contributor. And to me, I look at people who contribute to organizations as leaders. contribute with your time, with your ideas, with your encouragement, with your influence in getting others to grow whatever it is that you're trying to do. But in your sphere, when you say your sphere, I assume are you talking about your clients?
I'm talking about everybody.
Everybody.
Your friends, your clients, the fellow
All right, well,
agents
so
that
what
you
do
work
you
with.
what do you do to touch them? How often do you touch them, and how do you touch them? And
I've been trained well. I may not be 100% consistent, but one of my favorites, and Autherine, I know you're going to laugh when I say it, I call people on their birthday and I sing. I sing happy birthday.
I think that's great.
And, I mean, that's just one way, but we send out cards, birthday cards. We send out a monthly newsletter. I call people and just chat with them and say, hey, how are you? Or I send email or text. We have so many different options for connecting. And I know that, for instance, during COVID, we've all had to shift. And one of my, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but it's kind of a fun one. I'm trying to figure out right now. Usually I have a Christmas brunch in December, and we invite all of our past clients and friends and neighbors to come, sort of an open house style brunch at our house. And I hired a lady who's a dear friend to come and help with it last year. And so now we're trying to come up with some creative ways to have a festive and fun and meaningful way to connect with people in light of COVID. I don't think I can have an event with 75 people at my house and keep everybody safe. So does that mean, well, maybe I pack together a little Christmas brunch and deliver it to their house? I don't know. We're trying to figure out some of those ways to stay connected. And I can say that I've been incredibly grateful for Zoom. I'm in a book club, I'm in a Bible study, all these different organizations that I belong to. We've used Zoom in a big way to stay connected.
Well, how about something like this? People could come by your house. They'll see, let's say you bought a bunch of pies. And around Thanksgiving or Christmas, you invite people to come by, like one at a time, come by my house and have a cup of coffee and pick up your pie kind of deal.
Okay.
How many people take you up, really on that. But my husband used to do something like that in the building business. He would do turkeys at Thanksgiving, fried turkeys. And he started out delivering them. And that way you're not having everybody together. And that was a real relationship building. Then he started having them come to our house and pick theirs up. And it was really kind of a fun thing. So it doesn't have to be a turkey, anything that big, but it's just something like that. Jennifer Barnes is a great one. Do you know Jennifer?
I do. Thank you for reminding me. I'll call her.
She's a great one to ask about staying in touch with people. Cynthia Pierce is also a great one who does really unique and clever things like
Cynthia
that.
Pierce?
Yeah, she's in Dunwoody.
Okay.
You can just find, or even on their birthday, have something. I got a call the other day. Somebody sent me some warm cookies. What's that called? Y'all know about that? Oh my gosh.
They arrive warm?
Yes. Tiff's Treats. Tiff's Treats. I got a phone call and it said someone has requested a Tiff's gift treat for you. Will you be home between, to whatever? And they arrived. Now this is a great little treat. They were warm, right out of the oven cookies and had 2 things of milk in them.
Oh my.
It's called Tiff Treats. I was impressed. Of course, I'm really kind of upset because I've gained 5 pounds. And I'm pretty sure the cookies had something to do. No, I'm kidding. I'm not upset at all. But that's a big deal now. The other thing that I live very close in Atlanta to the Southern Baked Pie Company. And they make small pies and big pies, and they're sweet or meals. And I think, the big ones are expensive, I think, to give too many like that. But the small ones are just, perfect. And I've suggested that to people. I mean, you can get those pies. They're out of this world. So Southern Baked Pie Company. It's in Buckhead. But they ship also. So anyway.
Thank you.
But I think contacting and calling is, I will tell you another thing. Get to know as much as you can about people, because when you know their sports teams they pull for, then you know their dogs, if they love them. Like I have a dog named Charlie, and I'm going to tell you what, people ask about Charlie all the time, and they know that's a great way to my heart. How's Charlie doing, Because I've talked about him, and you probably heard him barking on the front end. But actually, an agent who sold me a property gave Charlie some calling cards. It said, "Hi, my name is Charlie. I belong to Glenn and Kay Evans," and our new address on it. That was pretty clever. So you just have to, think a little bit outside of the box. Thank you for asking that, Connie. I hope that was helpful to you. Anybody else have a
Thank you.
Anybody? Nobody? Well, I hope you all.
Yeah. And Michelle Byers, I'm loved hearing your story about the auction for Andrew Young for the luncheon.
Yeah.
Because I was bold in February, and we did an auction to raise money for KW Cares. And I was the winner of your auction. I get to have lunch with you, and then COVID came. So I'm barely hanging on to my little sheet, and that I'm excited about. That is going to be the highlight when I get to have lunch with you.
Well, let me know when I look forward to that.
Okay, well, we've got to get to the point where we're all doing this again. So I've got it locked up. It's in my safety deposit box.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm sure. Well, let's schedule it. So, we could sit apart from each other pretty well.
Okay.
But thank you, and I look forward to that myself. That'll be fun. Thank you. I love to interact with people like that. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Autherine, thank you so much for inviting me to do this.
You are so welcome. It was our pleasure, really. Thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time today, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. And you know what? I have to tell you what my highlight is. There were a lot, but I wrote one down. It's success results through people. And so you describe Bob, your relationship with Bob, as a glove, giving your hand protection, and yet you still have movement. I love that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. That I've never heard a relationship described that way. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Y'all are great. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
Great week. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Love y'all.